at this point, I'd like to invite the board chairman of Eskom South Africa, Ben Ngubane, to give his address, after which he will invite the Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Tunya, our Master of Ceremony, the Honorable Dikobe Ben Martins, Deputy Minister of Public Enterprises of South Africa, the CEO, the Ambassador of Denmark, Tigesen, the CEO of Utilities Week, Mr. David Ashdown, the heads of utilities present here, executives of the different utilities, ladies and gentlemen. As chairman of the Eskom board and host energy utility, it gives me great pleasure to officially welcome you to South Africa, first as neighbors, and secondly as future potential partners who trade together. Fortunately, Cape Town is much warmer than Johannesburg, so I think you'll enjoy your stay in South Africa. I also welcome you on behalf of the executive management of Eskom. Our CEO, unfortunately, has got another urgent business to attend to, so I extend the welcome in his name. Eskom is proud of our association with the Africa Utility Week. It's a flagship event in our diary. We have several undertakings in parallel, from hosting the CEO Forum to several partnership engagements, and I look forward to seeing you in person at some of these events. 2 weeks ago, world leaders in business and government and civil society came to Durban to discuss the regional World Economic Forum on Africa, and most of our presidents, prime ministers, and leaders were present. Today we are here on a similar venture. The Africa Utilities Week is a mini WEF for Africa's energy sector. When you put up the transmission wires, the national grids, every activity in the country hangs from that grid and from those transmission grids. Generation is important, but transmission is even more critical for our economies and the well-being of our people. The underlying theme at WEF revolved around the 2016 theme of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, described by Professor Klaus Schwab as a fundamental shift in how we produce, consume, and relate to one another, driven by the convergence of the physical world, the digital world, and human beings ourselves. Africa is an emerging market. In particular, Africa's energy industry ought to consider what this fourth industrial revolution means for us as a continent, and how we can leapfrog this wave of change to the benefit of our individual economies. The International Monetary Fund has indicated that growth in sub-Saharan Africa should recover slightly to 2.6% this year. This will be after more than 2 decades low in 2016. African economies were growing very promisingly, but unfortunately, with different shocks in the international community, particularly in the oil industry, our growth, collective growth, aggregate growth diminished. The recovery that we expect will be due to recovery in oil production in Nigeria and other oil-producing African countries. We expect higher public spending ahead of elections in Angola and the recovery from the effects of the drought in South Africa. In non-oil producing countries such as Ivory Coast, Kenya, and Senegal, growth is expected to remain strong at over 5%. PricewaterhouseCoopers Africa Business Agenda 2017 Their report shows that Africa's economy has more than tripled since the year 2000, although today uncertain economic growth is a concern. On this positive note, no less than 97% of African CEOs were confident in their own company's growth potential and talked to the increased willingness to invest locally. The report goes on to add that Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, and Uganda are seen as the top 5 investor partners of choice by African executives. This is an opportune time to invest in the region and secure gains as our markets expand. However, doing so in ways that ensure mutual benefits will have to be the key concern for our investments planning and implementation. Leveraging local as well as international investors through mutually beneficial returns should be explored. Such developments will have implications for the growth strategy, integrated African strategy, partnerships with local investors and future sales, and of course, Africa's industrialization. At the January 2017 Davos meeting, the Global Shapers community connected with African leaders from emerging markets to discuss these very issues. While a great deal was discussed, and in particular the need to improve infrastructure, education, and leadership models in Africa, it was clear that innovation in Africa was critical and that institutional reform was needed to foster innovation. For me, ladies and gentlemen, it is important that the energy industry in Africa explores how new ideas can be born through collaborative networks of research institutions that bring business, utilities, and countries together. In this way, we can define a research agenda to address our specific industry needs, to build infrastructure, local skills, and capability, and to develop appropriate intellectual property. In this spirit of collaboration and innovation, today you will learn that Eskom will officially be the first energy partner in South Africa to endorse the Huawei Open Lab in smart grid innovation. The Huawei Eskom collaboration will seek to develop the next era of power Internet of Things, power cloud, transmission and distribution telecom, and cybersecurity solutions, as well as advanced analytics for grid operations in order to drive digital transformation in the industry. The fourth industrial revolution may bring us closer to realizing Africa's dream of an interconnected, smart African grid, which is huge due to the potential of energy resources on the continent, including South Africa's excess electricity capacity. The fourth industrial revolution is the potential of providing Africans with an opportunity to discover new solutions that could revolutionize the energy industry and leverage advanced technology solutions for a reliable and sustainable power grid. Let us all be reminded of the role that each individual, organization, institution, and government must play in improving the lives of our fellow Africans. The developmental needs of our continent are vast. As leaders and players in the energy space, we need to recognize that energy supply must contribute to more than just enabling economic growth through abundant energy supply. Energy supply must be leveraged to maximize all aspects of sustainable development, which include economic, social, and environmental development. In the words of the former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, energy is the golden thread that connects economic growth, social equity, and environmental sustainability. And I was happy to hear Your Excellency, Ambassador of Denmark, state the readiness your country has in cooperating with African utilities and generally looking at all aspects and technologies in the generation of electricity. Our minister, our deputy minister, Honorable Ben Martins, will welcome you and talk to you further about the opportunities we have during this Africa Utility Week. Our deputy minister is a freedom fighter and a soldier of the Umkhonto weSizwe. He did years on Robben Island, imprisoned for his activities. However, he used some of the time to study for a BA degree with the University of South Africa. When he was released, he entered for an LLB course at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, Pietermaritzburg campus. He did his master's in law, LLM, at UCT. He also did a postgraduate diploma in management, economics, and law at the University of Cape Town. He's an extremely accomplished man. He has produced 2 anthologies of African poetry and has produced essays on arts and culture with respect to our continent and our different heritages. He trained in visual arts, and he has painted some fairly outstanding pieces of art. So here we have a very cultured man who should probably spend some of his time teaching the younger generation at universities, because they need this type of experience and the value systems that he embodies as an individual. So wishing you great success this week. It gives me pleasure to call on our Deputy Minister to address you. Thank you.